All right, this video is for you teachers and educators. Now look, you might not realize it, but you have one of the most marketable skills on the planet. And right now, tragically, it's probably going to waste. So in today's video, I'm gonna walk you through how I would make $5 million in 12 months, starting from scratch with nothing but a teaching credential. So if I woke up tomorrow morning with a teaching credential and nothing else, what would I do? Well, I'll tell you, I wouldn't send a single resume. I wouldn't go to work in a school. And for the next few minutes, I'm gonna walk you through exactly what I would do step by step, dollar by dollar, if I had nothing but a teaching credential and I had to make $5 million in 12 months. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm not saying you're gonna make $5 million. I have no idea what you'll do with this. All I'm doing is purely as a hypothetical, showing you the strategy that I would execute based on what I've learned building a $100 million company. Cool? Cool. All right, I'm Russ Ruffino, and this channel is about one thing, sharing what I learned building a 9-figure high-ticket coaching company called Clients on Demand. So if that sounds useful to you, hit that subscribe button. Let's go ahead and let's get into it. Now, here's something that'll bother you once you see it. A great teacher does something that almost nobody else on earth can do. They take impossibly complex material, right? Organic chemistry, Shakespeare, trigonometry, and they make it land inside the head of a 16-year-old moron at 8:30 in the morning when that kid would rather be anywhere else. Now, how do I know? Because I was that 16-year-old moron. And teachers hold the attention of 16-year-old morons just like me for 50 minutes straight. They diagnose confusion in real time. They adjust their explanations on the fly. They create transformation in people who have absolutely no interest in transformation, and they do it hundreds of times a year. So I want you to really consider what that's worth outside the classroom walls, because Wall Street pays consultants $300 an hour to do a shittier version of what a good teacher does every single day. You know, corporate trainers charge $15,000 for a 2-day workshop. An executive coach charges $5,000 a month to have like one conversation a week. The skill is identical. It's helping people learn, but the model is different. That's it. So you follow me on that? The ability to actually create understanding inside another human being, that's rare. That's valuable. And it's way harder than what most consultants do for like 10 times, 50 times, 100 times the money. You see that, right? Okay, so hold that thought. So the question is not, are teachers valuable, right? The question is, why does the system cap excellent teachers at like $55,000 a year, regardless of how good they are? That's a design flaw. It's not a reflection of what teaching is worth, right? The education system says teach 30 kids, make, $55,000, $60,000 a year, whatever it is, work 5 days a week, work hundreds of days a year. Whether you're brilliant or mediocre, we're gonna pay you the same. Whether you transform lives or you just phone it in, the salary band is flat, right? And the profession, teaching profession, sees a 44% attrition rate in the first 5 years. And it's the best teachers who leave first. The ones who care the most, they burn out the fastest because the model actually punishes excellence. So what do teachers tell themselves? I'm not good enough, or nobody pays teachers, or it's immoral to charge for teaching. But I'll tell you right now, skill is not the problem. The market is not the problem. The business model is the problem. Make sense? So here's a concept from behavioral economics that explains this pretty perfectly. It's actually called the IKEA effect. So researchers at Harvard found that people value things a lot more when they've invested real effort or real resources into it. So that crappy bookshelf that you bought at IKEA that you put together by yourself, you'll actually tell people that it's worth more to you than a nicer one that you got pre-assembled from a furniture store. It's totally irrational, but it's how the brain works. And I'll tell you, pricing works the same way. When somebody invests $10,000 in a transformational program, their brain treats that transformation as being worth $10,000. It protects it, it fights for it, it does the work. But a free classroom seat to a kid, the brain puts that right next to like a gym membership that you never go to. And that's not cynicism, that's neuroscience. And it's actually the most important thing that any teacher could understand about building a business, because it means that charging more is not greedy. It's actually how you get people to show up and do the work. So if I had a teaching credential, I would not like get in the school and try to fix the broken model from the inside. I would step outside it entirely and just blow it up. And I have a very specific 5-step plan for how I would do it. So let me just walk you through every single step. And by the way, look, if this is resonating with you, there's a link in the description of this video where you can book a call with my team. We'll get on a call. We'll look at your situation. We'll see if we can help. It's there if you want it. All right, let's get into the actual blueprint. Okay, so here's what I would do if I woke up tomorrow with a teaching credential and I wanted to build a business like the one I have now. Step one, and this is non-negotiable, I would get crystal clear on the specific transformation that I create, not the subject I teach, the transformation. Now, here's the difference. I teach reading is a subject, but I take kids who are 2 years behind in reading and bring them to grade level in 6 months. That's a result. You see, one of those is a service, the other is a transformation, and people will invest 10 times more for a transformation. So let me explain why this matters so much. When you frame what you do as a subject, well, I teach math, I teach reading, you're competing against every other person who teaches that subject. And what do people do when they're comparing commodity services? Well, they shop on price, right? They go to Fiverr. They hire the cheapest tutor for their kid that they can possibly find. You're in a race to the bottom. But when you frame what you do as a specific outcome, so I take kids who have been labeled broken because of dyslexia, and I help them read fluently in 12 weeks while rebuilding their confidence. Now you're the only person who does that. You see? There's no comparison. There's no price shopping. You're either the person who can create that incredible transformation and solve their problem, or you're not, right? Now, look, you might be thinking, okay, but Russ, I teach a general subject. I don't have a niche. And I hear you. But here's what I've seen after 12 years of doing this. The riches are in the niches. So think about it for a second. Just like open up your mind. Every teacher has a type of student that they're best with, right? Every teacher has a type of problem that you solve better than anyone else. Now, you might not even consciously be aware of what that is, but it's there. So think about it. What students did you love working with, right? Which were those students that just lit you up? Which are the ones that came back years later and say, you know what, you changed my life? That's your transformation. It's already there. It's already inside you. You just need to pull it out and give it a name. So let me give you some more examples. Maybe you help kids who are behind on math go from the bottom 10% of their class to the top 10%. Or maybe you work with teenage girls dealing with anxiety and depression, like my client Jamie does, and you give them the confidence and the life skills that they need to succeed. Or maybe you help kids get into Ivy League schools, get the recommendations and the test scores and all the other stuff that they need so they could go to Harvard or Yale. That's what my client Kenesha did. Or maybe you help kids who are struggling with ADHD learn to focus. Maybe you help kids who are being bullied protect themselves and get their confidence back. Or maybe you even work with parents who are struggling to homeschool their kids and get their kids to listen up, pay attention, and achieve academic excellence at home. You see what I'm getting at? Those are not subjects. Those are outcomes. They're transformational outcomes. And those are the kinds of transformations that parents will pay $5 or $10 or $15,000 for. And I've spent the last 12 years proving that that's the case. And you are probably already doing some of this in your day-to-day work. You're just trapped in a system that pays you peanuts for changing lives. And that's what I really want you to understand. Look, when I was younger, I had teachers that literally changed the trajectory of my whole life, but they got paid practically nothing for it. And look, that's not their fault. It's just that the education system kind of sucks. And I'm sorry, I don't think that's noble. I think it's silly because our best people, our teachers, are not being paid what they're worth. And so if I had a teaching credential, but I wanted more, I wanted a 7-figure business, then I would start by choosing a specific transformation to specialize in, and then I would build a high-ticket coaching program around it. So let's talk about that, and that's step 2. So here's where the model flips, and this is the part that changes everything. If I built a program priced at $10,000 per client, and I enrolled just 10 people per month, that's $100,000 a month. That's $1.2 million a year. And that is the math that I would target, right? Hypothetically, that would be my target. So what would I do? I would structure this as a group coaching program. So not one-on-one tutoring, not charging by the hour, right? That's just trading time for money, which is exactly the trap that you're trying to escape. It's just another version of it. And it wouldn't be a self-paced online course because we already established that low investment products produce low investment behavior. So what would it be? It would be a structured 8 to 12 week group experience. 10 participants, maybe 15, all going through that transformation together. Now, look, I can feel you maybe pulling back, teachers. $10,000 for teaching? Who's going to pay that? It's a fair question, but let me answer it with a question. Let's imagine you're a parent. Let's imagine your daughter is 8 and she's dyslexic. She's 2 grade levels behind in reading. She cries at homework time. You've hired 3 tutors. Nothing has stuck. Every night you're watching her confidence shrink a little bit more. She told you last week that she thinks she's stupid. And then you find someone who actually understands how dyslexic brains process language. Someone who doesn't try to force your daughter into a reading system that wasn't built for her. Someone who explains why she struggles. And it's not because she's broken. It's because nobody ever taught her the right way. So if you were in this situation and you had the money, would you invest $10,000 to give your daughter back her confidence? To set her trajectory, to change her trajectory for the next 60 years of her life? That's not expensive. That is reasonable for that transformation. And there's millions of parents in that exact situation right now looking for someone who can help. I would spend that money, and there's a lot of other parents who would. So here's what that program would actually look like, because I think a lot of people hear, coaching program, and you can't really get your head around what that is. So a coaching program is pretty simple. You give people one pre-recorded module per week. It takes about 90 minutes to create, covers the methodology, the how and the why. And then people are bound to have questions about what they learned in that module. So you also do one live group coaching call per week on Zoom. That goes about 90 minutes, but that's where the real magic happens. You answer questions, you troubleshoot, you adjust and tweak the approach based on what each family is experiencing. You have a help desk or email support, so you're answering those questions maybe 20 minutes a day. And then you have some kind of a community space, whether that's Telegram chat, a Slack group, Facebook group, where the families can actually communicate with each other and support each other. And you can create some peer accountability. And that's huge because parents of a kid who's struggling, they often feel completely alone. And then suddenly you're surrounded by all these other people in the program who get it, and you don't feel so alone anymore. And the total time commitment from you to run this thing is like 10 to 15 hours per week. Think about that. Not 40, not 50, not 60, 10 to 15. And you might be thinking, okay, great, Russ, that sounds great, but I'm a teacher. I don't know how to run a business. And I would say, all right, good. Because 90% of what passes for business in the online coaching world is garbage. It's overcomplicated funnels. It's a bunch of different social media platforms. It's people running paid ads with terrible margins. So just take a second and just forget everything you think you know about online business. Because the model that I would use is ridiculously simple. And that's by design. Because simple scales and complicated collapses. And that brings me to the third step. So if I were building this right now, I've got my transformational program. It's providing an incredible outcome, and I put a premium price on it. So now I need a way for the right people to find me and raise their hand. So we need a funnel. And the word funnel scares people, right? It sounds like some complicated tech thing, but here's what it is. It's just a path, right? Someone clicks an ad, they watch a video, they want help, they tell you about their situation, you have a conversation, and you enroll them in your program. That's the whole funnel. So here's how I would build it in the beginning. I would make a YouTube video, something like how I help dyslexic kids learn to read. I would walk them through the methodology. I would explain the neuroscience in plain English. I'd tell stories about the kids I've worked with whose lives have changed because somebody finally taught them the right way. A parent watches the video. They think, wait, this person gets it. They click the link in the description of the video, fill out an application. What's your child's current reading level? What else have you already tried? What's keeping you up at night? And then from that application, you would book them in for a 30-minute breakthrough call. Now, I want to be really clear. The way that I do these calls, the way that we do these calls at Clients on Demand, they're not some big high pressure sales pitch, right? Let me be really clear about that because this is where most people's guard goes up, right? Like, I'm a teacher. I don't know how to sell anything. This sounds creepy. I don't know how to do it. The call is a consultation. So on the call, you're asking great questions and you're listening. You're trying to figure out what's really going on. Here's the key. You should be turning down about 20% of the people that you talk to. So if someone's not a fit, you tell them the truth. Hey, look, I don't think this program is a good fit for your daughter. Here's what I would suggest instead. And you know why this works? Because integrity is so rare. Most people selling programs, they try to just close everybody. And when you actually turn away people who are not a fit, the ones who are a fit end up trusting you completely because they think to themselves, look, this person's not trying to take their money. This person's actually trying to help my kid. And when you really understand how this works, you see that the entire system is built on one principle, actually helping people. That's it. And that's not a sales technique. That's just being a good teacher. That is being a good person, which is what you already are, hopefully. So if they're a fit and I'm on the call with them, I just make the offer. Simple. Based on what you told me, I think we can help. Here's the program. Here's the transformation. Here's the investment. Does this feel right? No arm twisting, no, countdown timer or anything, just an honest conversation between two adults who actually care about that child. And this is the part that usually stops teachers cold. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be sleazy. I don't want to be a salesperson. And I get it, but here's the good news. You don't have to, because what I just described is not selling. It is screening. You're not trying to convince anybody. You're just trying to figure out if you can help. And if you can help, you tell them what it costs. And if you can't, you try to send them somewhere that can help. That's not sales the way people usually do it. That's integrity. It's exactly what a good doctor does. Guy comes into the office, tell me where it hurts. He listens to what's going on. He diagnoses the problem, and then he prescribes the solution. And it's the same thing that you do as a teacher every single day when parents ask, what does my kid need? You're not trying to sell them anything. You're just telling them the truth about what's really going on with their child and how they can help. All right, fourth step, and this is the part that most people get backwards. They think in order to make more money, I just got to do more coaching. That's that teacher's instinct, and you got to just get that out of your head, right? More hours, more students, more impact, right? But that's the trap. So the education model is now leaking into your new business, right? And what I would want to do is I would not want to just build myself another job, right? Yeah, and maybe there's more leverage and I'm working from home instead of working at a school, but I still want to get out of the time for dollars trap. So here's what I would do instead. Months 1 through 3, I would do everything myself. I would record my own trainings. I would run my own group calls. I would handle the breakthrough calls, and maybe 15, 20 hours a week. I'm learning how the business works at every level. But by month 4, I hire someone else to do those calls for me. Not because I'm lazy, but because my highest value activity is teaching and creating the methodology. Look, someone else can handle those initial sales conversations and then determine, is this family a fit or are they not a fit? So by month 7, now I'm bringing on somebody to help me coach the actual parents and coach the actual kids. This would be somebody that I've trained on my methodology, somebody who can actually run these programs. So now I'm maybe doing one 90-minute training a week, and I'm focused on high-level strategy. So I'm only working about 3 to 5 hours total on this. Make sense? There's a reason McDonald's serves the same burger in 40,000 locations, and it tastes exactly the same. Ray Kroc did not figure out how to make a better hamburger, but he did figure out how to build a system that makes the same hamburger in 40,000 different places. So that's what I would be doing with my teaching methodology, not trying to clone myself, but to create a system that changes lives, that's delivered by trained coaches. Now I'm supervising it. I'm making sure it all works great with the same rigor, the same results, right? So here's the thing I want you to really sit with. Your hours can go down while your impact goes up. And that's the opposite of a teaching career where you work more and more hours every year, but it's the same paycheck. This model rewards you for getting better and building systems and making a bigger impact and transforming more lives. The more lives you transform, the more money you make. And so you're not burning yourself out. You're maximizing your impact with maximum leverage. Okay, so let me zoom out and show you the full picture of how I would actually target that $5 million dollar amount, right? And this is my hypothetical strategy. Again, it's not a promise. I'm not making a projection. I'm not saying what's going to happen. This is what I would do. I just want to be really clear about that. So once the core program is working, I'd probably build 3 tiers. So I have the core group program. That's that 8 to 12 week program. That's $10,000, target maybe 20 participants a month, right? So if I hit that, that's $200,000 a month. That's 2.4 million a year. That's the engine that drives everything else. But I know that once the 8 weeks are up, people are going to want to continue to work with me. So then I have a premium VIP. It's $15,000. It's the same experience, but now we're taking it to the next level with a little bit more personal attention. And I would want to get 10 people per month in there. So then I have a third tier, and that's our super intensive. That's $25,000. That's a deep one-on-one work for the most committed, most urgent situations. And I would probably limit that to about 3 to 5 per month because it's not as leveraged. But if you combine all that together, that's far north of $5 million annually. Now look, does $5 million sound like a fantasy? I get it. When you're making $55,000 a year, $5 million sounds like Mars. It did to me when I was first starting out. But here's what I learned. It's not like one giant leap. It's just a series of small logical steps, right? You create your program, you price it at $5,000 or $10,000. You get 1 client, then 5, then 10. Then you add the VIP tier, then you add coaches. Each step is manageable. Each step builds on the one before. So the people who build 7-figure, 8-figure businesses, they're not superheroes. They just plugged into a model that works and they kept going when everyone else quit. And I'll tell you something, teachers are built for that because you've been doing hard things for not great pay for years. So imagine when you're doing the hard things, but you're actually plugged into a model that works. So I don't want to just tell you this works. I want to give you an example of somebody who's living it. One of my clients, Dr. Becky, was a neuroscientist and a teacher, and she had spent years studying how dyslexic brains process language. And she developed this incredible methodology that doesn't fight the dyslexia. It actually rewires the child's brain so that the parts of the brain that aren't working as well start to work better. And she was doing this in the classroom. She was doing this 1 kid at a time. She was making a teacher's salary. And she was working more hours than she should have been because she cared too much to stop. So she came to us, and we put together a high-ticket program around her methodology. And today, hundreds of families have gone through it. And her success rate is like 98%. So 98% of the kids who go through her program make massive gains in their reading ability. And she's traveling around the world. She just got back from Switzerland. She's enjoying income and freedom and impact, all 3. And that's not theory, that's real life. So let me just paint the picture of what I would be building about 6 months in. It's Tuesday. I wake up, no alarm. I can smell coffee because I set the machine the night before. I'm not rushing to get to a school building by 7:15. I check my inbox. There's an application from a parent whose kid has been struggling. They want to talk. So right there, that's a potential $10,000 enrollment this week. I have a group call today at 11. That cohort is about 3 weeks in. The breakthroughs are starting to come. One parent leaves me a voice memo. Her daughter is reading chapters of a book for the first time. I replay it twice. I listen to it twice just to get juiced up. Call ends like 12:30. Afternoon is open. I have lunch with my wife. I go. By the end of the month, in this hypothetical scenario, I've had like 30 discovery calls. I've enrolled between 5 and 8 families. My team handles the logistics. I just show up and teach. That's it. So that is the direction that I would be heading. If I woke up tomorrow morning with a teaching credential and nothing else, I wouldn't go work for school. I wouldn't send out resumes. I would apply this model and I would take it as far as it can go. And look, here's the part that would matter most to me. The kids that I'm helping are still the center of everything. I'm just doing it in a way that lets me actually live my life while I do it. So look, if you're a teacher and this kind of got your wheels turning, here's what I would suggest. Click the link in the description of this video, book a call with my team. It's totally free. We'll look at where you are and we'll see if any of this stuff applies to your situation, right? No obligation, no weird sales tactics. We'll just have a conversation. And look, if you got value from this, click that subscribe button because I put out videos just like this one twice a week, pulling back the curtain and showing you what I learned from building a 9-figure coaching company. I'm Russ Ruffino, and I'll see you in the next video.